Hello and welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney Revisited. And on the last episode, well, for the most part that we have to do this, well, we're going into the trial ladder in day 3. So we are actually going to go through this in a matter of moments. So let me get my notes in order. And this should be, this should be something. Like I said, I'm keeping everything as it just in case should I have to replay it, and hopefully I don't have to replay it. So let's get down to business with episode 5, Rise from the Ashes. Trial ladder. Again, this is a retake. February 24th, 12:14 p.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Gun smoke. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections we needed. Yes, we did it. Oh, I know! You're a patrolman! I'm a chip. Get it right. Ask for my name if you listen hard enough. You can hear the howling wind calling out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? Ferocious wind! Oh, sorry. I've never heard his work described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. We here do not believe in the words of plain old English, sir. This is the day of the crime. having fun with it. Just because they're pulling out so many voices. It's even tickling me. It's really tickling me to do these voices. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They say I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I can't say I particularly care for your attitudes. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean, the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone got their weaknesses. Now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. He's a jerk. I don't particularly care about your attitude, sir. But this is the day of the crime. Please present to me the day your ass just got whipped. Not whipped, whipped. Okay, let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you explain this, sir? Explain to the court what you mean by this shit. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. Explain my gun smoke in high definition. Okay. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or, to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of the crate. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness! What's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the blood-stained fingerprints? The sequel to Bloodstain, Circle of the Moon, Bloodstain, Finger of the Prince. Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the crime scene. What was the scene of the crime? Take your pick. Bloodstained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See? I had nothing to do with it. The witness' explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Hot shit chance of that, partner. Let me tell you something, son. Oh, we're really gonna be using that video to the That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I say. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. Let's see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's program. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Updated. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a blood stain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found in Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Yeah, I think we tried this too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprints. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. I might have skipped a line, but this isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. How do you know that? Oh, yeah, I was right. Okay. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, the video's on the for everything. But that video's next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots. Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We do not have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Oh, yeah. I can show. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. It shows this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. May I point out that this music is just all the way creepy as I don't know what. Right there. See this right here? Right here. Right there, see? Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon forget. Is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Okay. Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out, that was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh! The white cloth is gone! What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! Order! This will only seem... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong name. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just plain dumb. he really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I'll open that locker, now prove it. Okay. Only the science detective Prince can unlock it. Indicator lamp lights up when it's open. There. Dumbass. A fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? This is some raw hard dog and chews, motherfucker. Raw hard dog and chews. I only got 1 word for you, partner. Bang. It's bang, isn't it? No! Bury me with my money. Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please, tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Ole! Please, answer the question. What is he now? A bullfire? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet, Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. Come on, game. Well, um, well, he's right here. Officer Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Nope. Correct. Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous! Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted.
When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yeah.
Yes. And how did Detective Goodman respond?
He suddenly pointed laughing at me.
Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I guess it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He still didn't. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beer, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well?
Oh, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that.
I can see the fear in your eyes, Pop. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
Ah! This can't be happening! It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do?
Oh. It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. Huh? I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Mia, try thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did despite the chance it might be discovered later as it is thing. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense arguments, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well. Let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. 17, 14, 15. There's a reason right there. For some reason, you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know what. And entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked. And the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that. So you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. "2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now. Now would we?" Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. It seems that time has come to destroy all you motherfuckers. I mean, Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. No, you basically knocked him the fuck out. And GTFO. He went KO and get full. He went kill and get full. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor.
It was way too small blood for such a. It was way too much blood for such a small donation.
I agree. It's like your hands must be fat. Your hands were fat, dog. Okay, so we're gonna do the following. Press everything. When you say it, you mean, do you even have to ask, partner? The SO9 instance. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transfer that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care about it? Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card. I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filing out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated look, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off. Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekin certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person. Yes, when Jesus wanted to make him suffer. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about this race issue. When did I get so much funds? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. Did you by any chance clean it? So you knocked Officer Meekins out and... Mateo! So, you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is on that day... But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What, are you blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Miss Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I just can't forget the SL9 incident. You know why. Oh, I know why. Iggy Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name, Marshall, is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. Oh, that armor? That's the Arthur armor. That's the golden that's the golden armor from Ghouls and Ghosts. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? My brother was Lupin the Third. He was my brother. I mean, you look at his photo. He really does look like Lupin the Third. He was investigating the murder of Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. We were the Fantastic Four. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. my brother fought dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Darker. I knew my brother better than I knew him. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it. That's your reason for your insane actions. There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. And his hat magically pops back on his head. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now, we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he was Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, the fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance. It's got to be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Scully.
Objection!
But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Objection!
Which is why we examine the incident at the police department today.
But
there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It
Seems to me this boy's got you on. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on your partner. All the mysteries of the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Also, murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Douchebag. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize. That would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant or in this case,
Your Honor, wait.
Emma.
The defense has an objection, a scientific objection. Right?
What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, I insist.
Please, Your Honor. All I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please.
I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3.
I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SO9 incidents referred to the Joe Dark killing.
Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint.
You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right?
No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again.
So, did you find something?
No.
Huh?
Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please, don't be mad. I'm just a high school student.
That's no excuse.
And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with him, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me? Oh, boy! Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood-in-law. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this?
Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still...
Oh, you could be of some use after the trial, trust me.
If you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, what will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I need to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Iggy.
Objection!
This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seemed clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with this? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
missing.
something hasn't been drawn on that? Yes. Something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't trying to bite her. Very well, Mr. Wright. All this evidence here. There's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? The blue bastard was allegedly dancing in the evidence room at the time of the murder at the PD. There you go. There is your proof right there. What about that piece of plywood? That piece of plywood. The blue bastard, the blue badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth. What? Guardian of proof. What? Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please, look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So, watch what happens when we put him in. For a 20th birthday pie. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. The blue badger, idiot of justice. Well, what? That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. Oh, that was a good one. Bury me with my money. So that means, just what exactly does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me. I didn't put it there.
Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically.
Emma.
On that afternoon,
the blue bastard was there.
Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker.
So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time.
Someone please tell me.
Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous! I refuse to accept your absurd claim!
Objection!
The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
Objection!
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being caught by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Okay. Fine. Here you go. Great! If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID would have been required. An ID card. Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Oh! The judge had to let that one out. Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't get. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was in. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. I know I should have been dumb, but I'm far too much in character just to actually notice. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card remaining. Na. In other words, 7777777. But I like what I said earlier. Na. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with no. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose idea is 777777. Or in this case, find out whose ID number is That's 1-7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number. No. Belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge. You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your perjury. That's how the prosecutor's office operates.
Objection!
I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander? Is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana?
Objection!
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we looked up her ID number, and it's not. No. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I wanted to know is one thing about that incident. There is a non-incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Well, did you? The court would like to know. Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did.
Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant! Just what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator, in that trial, in the eye, and say that you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you did...
I don't have to, Officer Marshall.
Why won't you answer him?
Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved.
But Lana...
Even if it involved forging evidence.
And all of a sudden, thunder happened. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order! 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 Lana's remark caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. beat going on, you know? And with that, this will end the session of the trial. And actually, I'm going to stop right here. And in the next part, we are actually going to go into the final day of investigation. So with that, I'd like to thank you for joining me once again. And I shall see you next time when we deal with the final day of investigation. And after that will be the final day of the trial, in which everything will make sense and end Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Part 1. So stay tuned for the next part when we take on Day 3 of the investigation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.